Yo guys, what is up? Welcome back to a brand new video here today on the channel. Today, as you can see, we're back at one of my favorite all-time little ponds here. We're gonna see if we can't get on some big cold water fall bass. Let's get right into it. All right guys, as I said, and as you can see, we're back on one of my favorite little ponds here. We've definitely hit some of the cold weather. When I woke up this morning, it was 35 degrees. There's ice on the windshield of the car. It was pretty cold. So we've definitely come to kind of this fall transition. As you can see, the color of the leaves have changed on the trees over on that side bank here. So I figured I'd come up to one of my favorite little ponds here in the kayak. We're gonna see if we can't find kind of some of these last ditch effort cold water bass. So I think I'm just gonna start out with the jerk bait right here. This is kind of my confidence bait for the kind of fall cold water bass fishing. The jerk bait's kind of my #1 go-to bait because you can move this super slowly, suspending it in deep ledges, or you can move it fast up in shallow areas. We'll have to see what these fish are doing. But anyway, let's get right into it. See if we can't get on some big old bass. Let's get right into it. Oh, there's fish, we got one. There we go. That seems like a big fish. That seems like a big fish. First one of the day. There we go, finally. Just throwing this jerk bait around. We'll be very careful not to lose this fish. Seems like he's digging pretty hard. Throwing this, oh yeah, it's a nice little fish. What is this, what is this? It's a nice little bass, there we go. There we go. Good start to the day. Good start to the day. Let's grab the net here. Make sure we don't lose this fish. There we go. There we go. Come on, stay on there, buddy. That's a nice little fish. That's a perfect start to the day. Seems like he's hooked pretty well. Let's get him over here. Perfect. Little hook set right in the side of the mouth there. Do not jump. Do not jump. Do not jump. Do not jump. Come on. It's a nice little fish. Perfect start to the day. He's hooked pretty well. Let's get him over here. Oh, there he goes. There he goes. There he goes. And he's in the net. There we go. That's what we needed to start off the day. I was getting a little bit worried there. We've had some pretty cold conditions. And of course, just starting out with this jerk bait, we've got a really solid first one on the day. Probably about a 2, maybe pushing 2.5 pounder there. All right, guys, we've weighed him in, #1 in the day. That is a 2.34 pounder. Nice, chunky, long little fish right there. Almost 2.5 pounds. Absolutely cranked that jerk bait. Just absolutely knocked slack in my line. I could barely move him at the beginning there, but it's a nice little fight, nice little first fish of the day. Solid start. Let's get him back. This water is absolutely freezing. Revive him for a second. He'll go right back in there. Oh, and there he goes. That is what we needed. Came out here with pretty much no expectations. I wasn't sure what to expect. It was 35 degrees this morning when I woke up. Drove up a couple hours to the spot. This is one of my favorite little ponds here, as you guys know. Started with the jerk bait, my pure confidence bait when it's cold. Jerk bait is one of the only baits that I tie on when it is this cold, especially during the fall transition when these fish should still be feeding up on bait fish. It's not quite into that winter mode yet. Jerk bait's one of the best baits to throw. Came out to the middle area, throwing it for maybe 20, 25 minutes. That was our first good little bite there, a solid 2.5 pounder. So I'll take it. Let's get back in there. And I mean, if that fish bit, there should be some more. Let's do a little stand-up fishing. Oh, there's fish. There we go. There we go. #2 on the day. There we go. Finally. Finally. Something does not feel really big. Finally, another bite here. What is this? What is this? Is this a yellow perch? I think it is. That's a cool little catch there. Came over just after the lunch break. We've gotten on our second fish of the day, and it is not the target species, but I will take it. It is a nice little yellow perch. Let's get this guy in. Cool little fish for sure. Get up here, buddy. Get up here, buddy. Get up here, buddy. There we go. There we go. Once again, that's not the target species, but that's a cool little fish there. Nice little yellow perch. This is a nice, chunky yellow perch. Look at the gut on that guy. Absolutely cranked it. Let's get this guy unhooked, get back in the water. Look at the nice colors on this fish, though. All right, guys, fish number 2 there. That's actually a really solid yellow perch, but look at the colors on that fish. Perfect little red fins right there, yellow coloring. Look at that dorsal fin up there. That's a cool second fish of the day. Again, not the target species, but still a cool, actually really nice sized yellow perch there on the jerkbait. Let's get him back. Well, that's a cool little kind of bycatch right there. Not going for the yellow perch today, but that's a fish I always like to catch. They fight pretty hard. They get decently big in this pond, as you saw. That's a decent sized little yellow perch there. And they're definitely really cool little fish. I don't catch a whole lot. But as I said, we kind of came back after the lunch break. We caught one fish, that one nice bass right there. After about 30 minutes of fishing, fished for maybe another hour and a half, went and had lunch, came back. Now we're kind of in the afternoon session. And that did not take very long. That was the second fish of the day, a little yellow perch there. Just switched up to a slightly bigger jerkbait right here, something that's going to get down a little bit deeper. But I do think that kind of as this day progresses, the bite could get a little bit better, because as the surface temperature rises, as the temperature gets higher during the day, I think these fish are starting to come up, get a little bit more active. And once again, on the jerkbait, right in the middle, fish number 2. I'm going to stop talking. Let's get back in there and get on another one. Let's go. When you're kind of fishing this time of year, it can be super tough to get on bites. Getting kind of a cold front, it's getting colder. These bass are not going to be quite as aggressive as usual, but also be super rewarding right before the kind of winter transition, right before it kind of gets too cold to get on any sort of consistent bite. It can be really rewarding to just go out there and get on 3-4 fish. They're just big fish, because these fish are stocking up, they're chubbed up, getting ready for the winter, they're feeding on bait fish. It's not necessarily the easiest time to fish, but you do know pretty much where these fish are going to be. They're going to be suspended on deep ledges, trying to find these bait fish that are up and around rocky areas, grassy areas. It's just getting the ones that are willing to bite. There's fish. There we go. There we go. Finally. Finally, number 3. Seems like, oh my gosh. That could be a big fish. That could be a big fish. Oh, it's a nice one. It's a nice one. It's a nice one. It's a nice one. Get up here, buddy. Get up here, buddy. He's digging. He's digging. There we go. There we go. Finally. It's not a giant, but that's a solid, chubbed up fish. Probably around a 2-pounder. Switched up to a little squarebill crankbait. This guy absolutely destroyed it. Let's get this guy unhooked and back in the water. That is a nice little fish. Let's go. All right, guys, there we go. Fish number 3, bass number 2 on the day. It's a solid, maybe close to 2-pounder. I give him maybe around 1 3/4. Not a super long fish, but still a solid one. Nice chubbed up belly. Let's get him back. Gets like a nice release on this guy. Revive him, and there he goes. That's what we needed right there. Took us just a little bit to try to find these fish. We got on that little yellow perch right after the lunch break, came back, switched up to a little squarebill crankbait, something a little bit different than that jerkbait, which is what I've really been focusing on all day. Anyway, let's get back in there right away. Don't have too much time, and see if this little squarebill crankbait, which is currently stuck in my paddle leash, we'll get on some more fish here. But anyway, let's get right back into the water and see if we can't get on another one. That was a solid little fish. Out deep, going for these deep ledges, somewhere where these bait fish should be hanging out, somewhere these bass should be coming up and feeding on the bait fish. You already know the deal. Let's get back in there and get on another one. There's a fish. Oh my gosh, next cast. Next cast, we've gotten another fish. No way. That was next cast after that last one. Doesn't feel like a giant, but it's a nice one, I think. It's a nice one, I think. He's not coming up. All right, he is not coming up. This could be, okay, this could be a big fish. Now it's starting to fight. What is this? What is this? Oh my gosh. Now it is digging. What is this fish? Might be a pickerel, just by the way it's fighting. I haven't seen it yet. What is this? What is this fish? Some big, whatever it is. Now he's starting to fight. I can't bring him up. Oh, it's a big bass. Oh my God, that's a big bass. Oh my God, that's a big bass. Oh my gosh, that's a big bass. Oh my gosh, that's a big bass. Oh my gosh, that's a big bass. Yep, giant. Get in there. Oh my gosh, that's a giant. That's a giant. That's a giant. Oh my gosh, what just happened? What just happened? Oh my God, that's a huge fish. Oh my gosh, that's a huge fish. Oh my gosh, that could be a 6-pounder. What? What just happened? That could be a 6-pounder. What? What? That is a tank. Oh my God. I gotta get this guy unhooked and get a weight on him. That is huge. All right, guys, that is an absolute tank. 6.21 pounds. That is my biggest fish of the year. And this is one of my biggest fish ever. Not a super long fish, but look at the gut on that guy. He has definitely been feeding up for this fall transition. That is a giant on the square bill crankbait. 2 casts after the last fish. Let's get him back. That is a giant. Just cranked that square bill crankbait. Revive him for a second. Let's get him back. And there he goes. What a fight right there. Did not seem like a super big fish when I first hooked into him. But, of course, right as it gets to the boat, it digs down. I thought it was almost a pickerel, just by the way he was fighting so hard. But that is my biggest fish of the year. 6.21 or 12, something like that. And that is a tank. Square bill crankbait. I was about to leave. I had maybe 5 minutes left. I caught one on the square bill. I figured, why not take another cast right back in that same spot? And of course, that big one absolutely destroyed it. That was 2 casts after my last fish. That was incredible. That's my biggest fish of the year. And that is why you come out on days like this, when it is cold and you're not getting a whole lot of bites. But this time of year can be so rewarding. These fish are feeding up on bait fish and they're chubbed up and they're big. And you might not get a whole lot of bites. The bites might be few and far between. But they're big. Anyway, I'm going to get back on the kayak. I came on land, take a few pictures, release that fish. Back on the kayak. Maybe take a few more casts here, but that might be the last fish of the day. If it is, I will take it. Let's get back in there, and that is a tank. All right, guys, well, we took a few more casts there, but no more luck with the fish in just that 5 minutes. But what a day of fishing. Started off super slowly, got on 1 2.5 pounder in the first maybe 2.5 hours. Came back out here after the lunch break, started out with the jerkbait again, got a nice little yellow perch, switched up to the star player of today, a bait that has just grown on me so much over the last few months. I've caught quite a few big fish on it. That is just the square bill crankbait. This bait got on a ton of fish last time I came here, a ton of big fish. And of course, you guys know what it put in today. But anyways, yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Got on my biggest fish of the year, a just over 6-pounder. I don't care where you live, that is a big fish. 35 degrees this morning, still wanted to come up, take a chance, try to find some of these big, chubbed up, aggressive fall transition bass. And it paid off. That might be the last time I'm coming up to this pond for the year. So it was definitely a nice little trade. I will be out fishing in the coming months, in the coming days, trying to get on some more big fish before it gets too cold. But anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you want to check out the baits, it's just a little Googan Squad Recon crankbait. Perfect little square bill crankbait in just a little shad color. One of my favorite colors for this time of year. Shad or craw color, a red color or a white color like this is what I'm going with pretty much hands down for this time of year. But anyway, yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy. As I keep saying, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.